Hey, grade sevens. So today's lesson, we are going to be talking about two things when it comes to Cartesian planes. One is translations, and the other one is reflections. So I'm actually using this application, this website, and I'm going to post the link to the website just to help you out. So the difference between a translation and a reflection is one is like a reflection is like a mirror image. Um, so I'll show you what that looks like. But we're going to talk about translations first. So translations are when you move something. So here we have a triangle, right? And what we're actually going to do is I'm actually going to say, all right, let's move it. Um, let's say we're talking about on the y-axis first. So if I'm moving it positive, a positive number, it's going to be moving to the right. If I'm moving it a negative number, it's going to be moving it to the left. So if I look at this green dot, for example, on my triangle, it's at 3, -3, and 0. So what if I wanted to end up somewhere else? So let's say I'm going to move it 5 to the right, and then let's move it 2 up. So if I move it 5 to the right, it will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my new point for my green dot should be at my x-axis 2, and then 2 up is going to go 1, 2. So my green dot should end up at 2, 2. And then I can do the same thing with my yellow. I can count 5 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to be at -1, and then 2 up, 1, 2. So I should be at -1 and +5. And then I can do the same thing with my green. So when I hit translate, it's actually going to move it. All right, so I ended up at 2, 2 with my green. I ended up at, here we go, -1 and 5, like I said. And then my blue is at -2 and +2. And here you can actually see my initial triangle. It's still kind of there. And it's showing all the points right here as well. So it says green point is at 2, 2. My yellow point is at -1 and 5. And then my cyan or blue point is at -2 and 2. So if I do a new triangle, here we have another one, I'm going to now move it in the other direction. So let's move it -3. So that means it's going to go to the left. If it's moving -3 on the x-axis, and then let's go -4 on the y-axis. So my cyan point or my blue point is going to go 1, 2, 3 to the left and 4 down. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to end up at -1 and -3. And then everything else is going to be in relation to it. So if I can actually, instead of moving every single point, what I can actually do is I can move one point. Okay, so if I'm looking at my blue corner, I can say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to be here at -1 and -3. I can then look at, okay, in relation to my blue point, where is my green point? So I can look at my blue point and I can say, well, my green point is 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. So if I'm here at my blue point, or my new blue point, I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. This is where my new green point is going to be. Then if I go back, I can say that my yellow point is 4 below. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So my new yellow point is going to be there, and then we'll check. So that still works out. So the orientation of the triangle does not change. So I can look at those and say, all right, um, if it works, at, you know, the distance of this shape is this far away, then it's still going to work out and be the same. So when I look at my new points, my green point is 3, -3. My yellow point is -1, -7. And then my blue point, as I was saying, is -1 and -3. So that's kind of translations. We're just moving things around on the coordinate grid. Now let's start with a new triangle. And we're going to talk about reflections. So reflections is when you have um, something that's a mirror image. So I can say if I want to reflect across the x-axis. So that means I'm going to use this shape as a mirror. I'm going to actually grab a different triangle till I find one that will work well. They all seem to be over top of the axes. Well, we'll use this one. Okay, so we're going to say that this shape is going to be reflected on the x-axis, which means everything that's away from the x-axis is going to be flipped. Okay, so you're imagining this is our mirror. So if we're at the mirror, so if your hand is touching the mirror, you're not going to be able to see that your mirror is any further away. So what we're actually going to do is that's not going to change. So when we're doing a reflection, an easy way is when we have our line of reflection. Okay, so in this situation, our line of reflection is the x-axis. We're going to have it as x equals 0. Um, what I want to do is I want to count how far away are my uh, are my points from my line of reflection. So if I start at my line of reflection, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. My yellow is 4 points away. I'm going to go back to my line of reflection. I'm going to count in the opposite direction. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my new point of my yellow, I'm predicting, is going to be -3 and 4. So when I hit reflect, oh, it reflected over the y-axis for some reason. I'm not too sure why it did that. If I go like this, okay, I'm not too sure why it's doing it that way. The x-axis is this one, so um, oh, okay, sorry, I see what's going on. So when I say that x equals 0, so I'm actually reflecting over when x equals 0. So if I say where x equals 1, it'd be here along where x equals 1. All right, let's try this again. So I've got this shape, I've got this new triangle. So if I'm reflecting over where y equals 0, which is going to be along my x-axis, um, it's going to be here. So my new line, my new yellow is going to be at -2. So when I reflect, it's going to reflect down. All right. So if I go the other way, so now I'm reflecting over top of my y-axis, I can see that my green is 1 away, so it's going to end up here at 1 and 0. This one is 5 away, so it's going to be over at 5. And this one is 7 away, so it's going to be over at 7. So if I reflect it there, this is going to be my new spot. Now, what we can do is we can actually say, all right, what if we want to reflect where y equals 2? Okay, we're actually reflecting over this line. So we're not necessarily reflecting over an axis itself. We're reflecting over top of another line. So when I'm saying at y equals 2, I'm looking at y equals 2, which is right here, and my green point is 2 away from that uh, line of reflection. So I have to go 2 away from there. So 1, 2, my new point is going to be at 1 and 4. My blue point is going to be at 7 and 4. And then I can see that this one is 1, 2, 3, 4 points away from my line of reflection. So I'm going to count 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4 points. So it's going to be at 5 and 6. So when I go reflect, oh, sorry. Oops. Let's do that again. Now reflect. I didn't click on the right one. Yeah, now you can see that it reflected over my my line of y equals 2. Um, so I'm going to put this link into the Google assignment. Um, if you have any questions, we're going to go over a bunch of these together. And then we'll probably use this in class as well so that everyone can practice. But please make sure that you do your math make sense. Complete the Google form. And then any questions you may have, you can send me a Hangout message or just try to get a hold of me through email, or bring your questions into the Zoom chat and we can discuss your questions there.